Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the City Council for Thursday, February 26th, 2026. I'm Michael Higgins, Ward 6 City Councilor and Council President. All councilors, with the exception of Manning Martin, are present. Public participation to this meeting is provided in person and remotely via Zoom in accordance with the Massachusetts General Law. The Zoom link can be found on the City website. This meeting is also being televised and recorded by Peabody TV and the City Council stenographer. Please join us for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, moving on. We're going to open up with hearings right now. Let's move on with item 4A, which is Class 2 motor vehicle license. If the city clerk wouldn't mind.
Mr. President.
Motion to receive late communication 2 under suspension of rules.
You all heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
This was a request by the petitioner, if I may, Mr. President.
Councilor Kamash.
Yes, this is a request by the petitioner to move this hearing due to a scheduling conflict to the April 9th meeting. So moved.
You all heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Kamash. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to hearing item 4B, special permit. If the city clerk wouldn't mind reading the notice, please.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as the special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, February 26, 2026, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the application from 180 Newbury LLC, 80 New Salem Street, Wakefield, Mass., for a special permit requesting to allow for automotive repair shop in the BR1 zoning district at 180 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass., as filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under City Calendar on the homepage or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Michael T. Higgins, City Council President.
Thank you. May the applicant please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Please give the council a brief description of what you would like to do.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the City Council, my name is John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street here in Peabody, Massachusetts. I'm appearing this evening on behalf of 180 Newbury LLC. They have a business address of 80 New Salem Street in Wakefield, Mass. And my clients are Frank and Lynn Taibbi, who have owned that property since the acquisition of it in 2022, I believe. This matter was before the council some time ago, and there was a question of an occupancy upstairs. Took us approximately a year, a little better than a year, to get the tenant who was there without the appropriate permits out. She's been out since October of last year. My clients were very amenable to working with her and trying to find a place to live, and hence it took us a considerable amount of time. We are now before you seeking a special permit for the office for an automotive repair shop in the BR1 zoning district. Matter has been applied for, advertised, notice sent to the abutters. I do note that the departmental response includes a departmental response from the Board of Health, I believe, in which they've suggested that there should be the appropriate, that came from, who did it come from? Doesn't say. In any event, their suggestion is that there needs to be appropriate air treatment between the upstairs apartment and the downstairs commercial use. There is no upstairs apartment. So that recommendation becomes a nullity in as much as there's no residential component to this property. I supplied a letter under date of February 17th, 2026, in which I tried to supplement the original filing to explain that DCL Fleet Services is somewhat unique. They are a specifically hydraulic repair company. Generally speaking, they work on heavy equipment which has some hydraulic component. In some instances, that could be your braking system. In others, it's shovels, lifting. Most of that work is done on, do you need to receive it?
Yes, if I may, Mr. President, under suspension of the rules, moved receive item 8E.
Which is the letter which I'm explaining now.
All heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Continue.
Got to let you do your job. So what we tried to explain is that DCL Fleet does perform services. Almost all of their services are performed on site. They come to, in general, they repair and replace hydraulic lines, and that is done invariably at a place where the system has failed, and they now are on that job site, or roadway, brakes are gone, or the lift portion is damaged, and so they send their trucks to your place of business or your place where you've been working, and they repair the hydraulic line there. It's not terribly, I'm not going to say that it's not that it's easy work, but it doesn't involve a great deal of activity, and none of that activity, almost none of that activity, will take place on site. I've related the actual vehicles that I said that he had a van and a pickup. Since the time that we were first intending to apply for this, the company grew, and now we have 5 vehicles in everyday business. There are 3 service vans, which are slightly oversized vans, and 1 private passenger vehicle, and a larger CDL vehicle being a dump truck. Those are the vehicles that are intended to be on site. They would be associated with the business. They are not for sale. There was a time when the upstairs tenant was selling cars from the site. That is no longer occurring. There is no Class II license for use on the premises. That was forfeited by prior owners of the property and now is elsewhere. And so we've asked for hours of operation that would suggest that the only work that could be done on site would be office work. My client, Danny Conway Lyons, doesn't occupy the office too much, but nonetheless, there'd be no repairs beyond our hours of operation, and we are happy to answer questions that you may have this evening.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this project? Seeing none. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this project? No, none. Is there anyone participating on Zoom that would like to speak in favor of this project? Seeing none. Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to speak in opposition to this project? No. Seeing none. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, thank you. Through you to the petitioner. Jack, what were specific hours of the office that he was requesting, was looking for? It's not going to be any work on site, it's just office hours.
Oh, the office hours?
Well, yeah, because he's not going to do any work on weekends, per se. Correct. Yeah. So that he
Correct.
can go in there and do the office.
So I had asked for 7 a.m., 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday. But the 7 p.m. is really to have permission to get the
Vehicles
trucks back and back on the site and close up.
Yes, okay, thank you. For the councilors, excuse me, may not know this, this used to be, it's at the corner of Pine Street and Route 1. The petitioner's been there for a couple of years, and as the petitioner mentioned, there was a residential unit that was upstairs that was an illegal residential unit. We tried for quite a while and tried to get her assistance to get into housing. She's since left. And what DCL does is they mostly handle large trucking firms and things like that. You know, he'll do some hydraulic work for the city, for Bobby Woods, for any major trucking company, and it's mostly off-site. Most of his equipment is on-site, the lines and the hoses.
Yes.
But almost 95% of the work is done off-site unless somebody's down the street and they pull in. So I have no objection to this. I think that it's a service that is needed, especially in the transportation business. So I'll open it up to the rest of the council if there's any questions.
Thank you. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to either Attorney Kelty or Councilor Gamache. You said 5 vehicles total. It seems like, I just pulled it up on Google Maps, seems like there's plenty of parking on the side. Just to confirm, and I think you just said this, Councilor Gamache, there's not going to be any trucks that are being serviced on site, right? So then there should be ample room.
That's correct.
Okay, so there should, at least by my estimation, there should be ample room for at least 5 vehicles, if not more, right?
Yeah, there was a Class 2 license for 41 cars there.
Okay.
So, and we know that we show 20 spaces conforming to zoning.
Great. Thanks. No further questions. Thank you.
Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very quickly, Jack, you know that my concern has always been the apartment upstairs, not the business downstairs. So I'm going to stick to that subject. Has the building commissioner or the building inspector gone there to verify the removal of the stove or anything that dictates that that's an apartment up there?
Yes, the commissioner has been on site. In fact, there was finally a permit issued to repair some decking and flooring that had been rotting, and we were unable to get a permit because of the occupancy, illegal occupancy. Once she was gone, the property was inspected, and the stoves and the like are removed, and the flooring has been repaired.
Thank you. What's the intent of the upstairs now?
Office.
All office space. Okay. Thank you so much.
Councilor Hockman? No? Anyone else? Seeing none? Councilor Gamache.
Seeing there's no other question, move to close the public hearing.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, at this time, I move approval on the application from 180 Newbury LLC, 80 New Salem Street, Wakefield, Mass. for a special permit requesting to allow for automotive repair shop in the BR1 zoning district at 180 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. Is filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance, with the office hours of operation from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. So moved.
You all heard the motion. It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Hockman.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau. Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4C, special permit, Hardy and Monroe. If the city clerk wouldn't mind reading the notice.
Notice hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as a special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, February 26, 2026, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank Elgin Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the application from Hardy and Monroe LLC, 22 Hawthorne Boulevard, Salem, Mass., for a special permit to construct and provide office and shop for contractors without outdoor storage in the BC zoning district at 0 Hardy Street, Peabody, Mass. Is filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov. Under City Calendar on the homepage, or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Michael Higgins, City Council President.
Thank you. May the applicant please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Please give the council a brief description of what you'd like to do.
Thank you. John Kelty, attorney, offices at 40 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., appearing on behalf of Hardy and Monroe LLC, which is comprised of David Potter, who's here this evening, and Michael Becker. The property address is 0 Hardy Street. It is a very small lot, immediately adjacent to the car wash. My clients acquired the land from a party that was using it as kind of outdoor storage of used cars that were intended for sale in Gloucester. That did not work out so well for that owner, and when Hardy and Monroe purchased the property, we met over 2 years ago. We looked at prospect of the number of uses to which this could be placed. We considered, in as much as there was a zone change that allowed for residential immediately adjacent to us. This site not suitable for consideration as residential due to its size, due to the fact that there was virtually no place for the kind of flood storage that would be necessary to develop residential properties. Inasmuch as we're in a floodplain, you can't have the dwelling be on the ground floor. You would need garage on the first floor, and then the units above. The view then, if we had pursued any kind of residential use, the view then from your apartment window would be the vacuums and the noise from the car wash. So we explored business use. We do believe that there is a market for small bays which are available to contractors. Generally speaking, contractors with a single truck. There would be a mezzanine, slight mezzanine area, which would be almost like a loft where some business office could be utilized. We do not seek outdoor storage of either vehicles or any kind of equipment. And we've been to the Conservation Commission, from which we've received an order of conditions. We've been to the Planning Board for site plan review, and although that took some time, and we, at the request of Councilor Peach and at the request, at the direction, if you will, of the Planning Board, we reduced the number of bays, and we're here before you this evening with a finished product that we feel is manageable, workable, and is of some considerable use where it is located. I've seen the memorandums from the agencies, and we have no issue with respect to complying with any of the directions of the various departments with respect to their memorandums supplied to the council. We've stated in our application that Well, I stated in the application that a former use was a trucking company, and that's true. There was Messino Leather, was where the condominiums across Hardy Street are from us, and there was an ancillary trucking company that worked in conjunction with the leather factory, and that was located exactly on this site. We've happy to answer any questions that you may have. There is an AUL which limits the activities. Because of the AUL, we are, to whatever extent possible, we are required to keep the property at its current elevation, but also we're required not to unearth the chemicals that have been that are the subject of the AUL, and we have a construction plan that'll allow us to comply with the AUL requirements. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this project? Seeing none. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this project? Seeing none. Is there anyone participating via Zoom that would like to speak in favor of this project?
One of the applicants, Mr. Becker, is on there. I don't know if he wants to speak, so you could just ask him if he wants to. If he wants to speak, we should have him.
Mr. Becker, if you're participating via Zoom and you would like to speak, you may go ahead and unmute yourself.
I don't have any comments to make other than I apologize that I'm not able to be there in person, and I appreciate your time and consideration of our proposal. Both myself and my partner Dave are members of the local community. My family is from Peabody for over a century, and I do happen to live currently right over the border in Salem and Whitcraft. But I don't have any comments on the project other than what my counsel has already presented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There is no other participants wishing to speak in favor on Zoom. Are there any participants on Zoom that would like to speak in opposition to this project? Seeing none. Councillor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had the opportunity to speak with the developers and their attorney regarding this project. As Attorney Kelty stated, this property was purchased 2 years ago, and there was a lot of, time spent determining what the use on the property would be and could be. And this is kind of where we landed. It's my understanding the developers would be using a portion of this building for their own business. They are contractors and developers, and they are looking for a place to store commercial vehicles as well, because they're not allowed to be stored in Salem, where one of the partners lives. I have been very hesitant with this. I will say the neighbors, there are two neighbors that are very outwardly opposed to this, some who are considering what the alternatives might be if it's denied. That's my stance of what are we looking at if the council denies this permit. An allowed use that I think is probably the most likely use for this, should this be denied, is a ghost kitchen. And if you don't know what a ghost kitchen is, it's essentially a commercial kitchen that maybe not solely, but primarily operates off of delivery drivers like Uber Eats and DoorDash, which would bring significantly more traffic to this area. It's a fairly new concept within the last 10 years, and it's even newer that companies are building their own ghost kitchens. The concept started utilizing existing restaurant kitchens, and now they're kind of breaking off to have their own standalone kitchens. So my concern is, what are we looking at? The people who purchased this property have poured a lot of money into it, and I'm not here to show sympathy to the fact that they purchased property and poured money into it, but logic would lead me to believe they will do something with this property. So I was just looking at what the allowed uses are. Ghost kitchen is not defined in our zoning, which I hope we can tackle shortly as a council to clarify that and make sure we don't see those pop up in unwanted areas without needing a special permit at least. So I have spoke with them, and if the council does pass this permit, I believe there will be significant discussion on this from my colleagues and the applicant. I do have a list of conditions that I'm prepared to put forth. I'll go through them quickly. These have all been discussed with the applicant, and they do address a lot of the main concerns of the residents. So as Attorney Kelty stated, this project was presented to the planning board with 7 bays, and that's what the planning board approved. We have discussed, and they have sent adjusted plans to us dated December 11th, 2025. Those are in our packet, that reduce it to 6 bays, and that takes a bay off of Monroe Street. So Monroe Street is the most residential street in this area. There are some residential properties further down on Hardy Street, but Monroe Street is the existing residential primary neighborhood. So that reduces any bays from being on Monroe Street. The applicants also agreed that there'd be no commercial vehicles utilizing Monroe Street, so they would have to use Hardy Street. Again, very primarily, way less residents than Monroe Street. There'd be no cars parked outside, personal or commercial. So when contractors come to the bays to pick up their commercial vehicles for their workday, they would have to park their personal vehicle inside the bay. So we wouldn't see any cars parked outside at all. They've agreed that there'd be no auto repair or detailing tenants, which is a big concern of the neighborhood. The hours of operation, they've agreed to 6:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Within comments from DPS, and they've agreed that they would work with DPS to provide an ADA accessible sidewalk. What that plan would really look like is a little bit unclear right now, but it's something we'd have to work with them should the project move forward. They did add, which was not on the plan for the planning board, but I asked them to add a location for a rollaway dumpster that would be secured on site. And it's kind of hard to see on the plan, but it is in the corner on the plan that was submitted December 11th. There's a comment from the Conservation Commission, which I would include in conditions, which is just about their DEP filing and making sure that their approved site plan is, what the one that they follow. I'd include the downtown design standards to ensure that those are followed. And then following, which was a recommendation from the planning board with their approval and something I would support, if this permit were to pass to ban parking on Hardy Street altogether. Hardy Street, if you're not familiar, is a one-way street with good reason. We're already seeing an issue right now with parking on Hardy Street with the car wash, because the car wash also has an auto detailing portion to it, and that's become an issue, especially with cars queuing to get, there's a lot of issues with that area right now that we're working through. But should this pass, especially to be able to back the commercial vehicles out of the bay and onto Hardy Street to exit, there couldn't be any cars really parked behind them. It'd be very difficult to maneuver. So we would limit parking on Hardy Street from Central Street to Monroe Street. So with that, I have my reservations. This is a lot that's been undeveloped for over 30 years, I believe. It was in tandem a few years ago, we approved a project for another vacant lot across the street on Monroe Street. And again, I was very hesitant for that project and what to do there, but it also would have remained an empty lot for another 30 years had we not taken action as a council. So I do think whatever happens tonight, this lot will become something because there's been so much money poured into it. My concern is what other allowable uses there are under our zoning that do not require any of our overview or conditioning that could happen versus a need for the developer where they'd be using half of the bays that are there. And then we also in Ward 3, and I know in Ward 2, have a big issue with commercial vehicles parking overnight on our streets. This would at least take 3 of them off the road, hopefully. They'd be local businesses that are looking for a place to store their car. So with that, I'll turn it over to my fellow councilors.
Councilor Gamache.
Yes, thank you. Just a couple of observations. You know, contractors' bays, we just approved 25 of them. Well, we didn't approve, they, by right, on Route 1, we got 25 of them coming in. But this being more of a quasi-residential area, you had mentioned no parking on site, and then you mentioned no parking on Hardy Street. Did you want to ordinance that? No parking on Hardy Street? When we get to a position where they're opened up, would that be your suggestion to do?
Through the chair to Councilor Gross, yes, that would be, if this permit passes, I would not wait for the development to
All right.
occur, because we're already having issue with parking on Hardy Street in this area. Truthfully, whether this passes or not, I'm going to put forward an ordinance change to limit parking on Hardy Street
right.
because it's an issue. But it was a recommendation from the planning board, so I wanted to address it with this permit as well. But yes, moving forward, that'd be an ordinance change separate from this.
The other issue is, does the petitioner have an idea of, first of all, what is the size of these bays? I mean, are they going to be able to handle a 5-ton truck, or is it going to, what's the uses of a contractor's bays are?
The size of the bay is,
They're roughly between 12 and 16 feet.
Okay.
30 feet deep. For example,
12 to 16 by 30. David Potter, why don't you come up?
12 to 16 by 30.
Excuse me, please state your name and address for the record.
my name's Dave Potter. I'm from Swampscott, Mass. I do most of my business in Peabody and Salem. For example, I own a company called Dry Now, which is water remediation, and I just need a place to put the truck. Most of the equipment's in the truck, so I need a place, and that'll park there. When we go to get that truck, we'll pull that truck out, park the car that we brought in, into the garage, close the garage door, and drive off. A lot of these issues with these trucks is during the winter, they don't start, so you need a trickle charge, and you want to put them inside, could keep them nice and clean and stuff like that, because they have, there's a lot of people like that, that just need, they have small businesses. If I get another truck, I'll take another bay. And we also...
Becker's staging?
Yeah, we have staging equipment that we need to put in there. We go and grab it and stuff like that. So,
What he's referring to now is that Michael Becker's wife, correct?
yeah, that's my wife, actually. But,
That does the staging?
yes.
David's wife does staging for real estate offerings. They furnish the property, or whether it be commercial, et cetera. That is a likely user of this. Very small, independently owned companies that have really one vehicle.
And the reason why I say this is because if you've got commercial vehicles with backup alarms, and they do have backup alarms, some of these do, my recommendation is that they are backed in at night, because if they're opening up at 6:30 in the morning, as they're backing out, those backup alarms will go off and maybe wake up some of the residents that are local, that are near that, and that's just the condition that I don't think it's a big problem for you backing the vehicles in at night, so that when you pull them out in the morning, you just go. That makes sense. All right, so that's a key thing for a neighborhood. But other than that, I think you've managed to get most of the concerns that as a ward council I would have as well. But the biggest issue is the backup alarms, and I think if you address that, I'd have no problem with this. Thank you.
Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Council Peach knows that from the beginning I haven't been in favor of this. I've tried to, like Council Peach said, she's done a phenomenal job putting this together and trying to work on some of the concerns. It's just I tend to lean on, and I don't often do this, but I tend to lean on community development's concerns about the project and whether that is something that we want to see there. And I understand, and honestly, this probably skewed me the other way when you mentioned the ghost kitchen. In 10 years on this council, I've heard this from 150 applicants. If you don't approve my project, I'm going to build A, B, C, D. I say have at it. Build a ghost kitchen. If you won't find a guy that wants to spend $1 million or whatever to build something he doesn't want. So if that's the, I'll call it quote unquote threat that we're going to build a ghost kitchen, or we're going to do something that you don't want to see there, have at it. I just think that community development's correct. It's surrounded on three sides by residential. You got a car wash in the front. It's a really tight neighborhood. All these, we're projecting the best picture of what this is to be. You know, we have, you know, one van backing in at night that's going to pull straight out. All great that we're discussing it here. In 2-3 years, when, you know, Mary's Maid Service starts there and there's 11 employees meeting at the site to disperse from there, or, you know, Carlo's landscaping, and there's, you know, 7 people. We're not going to be able to enforce any of this. So we can set all that. We've been through it 100 times with countless applicants here that we've had back here because it just turns out to be the Wild West. I hope that's not the case if it passes, but I'm not typically, you know, a Nelly naysayer, but I don't think this works here. I just think, you know, we just literally a year ago approved a residential apartment building directly across the street, and then we want to put the commercial across from it. And you've heard me say before, with Council Welton, developing vacant lots, to your credit, is what we want to do. We want to get these things on the tax rolls. I just don't think this is it. I also don't believe that we're going to see a ghost kitchen down there on a contaminated piece of land, you know, in another year. So I don't respond to those things any further. But with that, I couldn't support it, and no disrespect to you, because I know you've put a ton of work into it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Councilor Peach. Just for clarification, so there's going to be no parking on site whatsoever?
There'd be no outside parking. So the commercial vehicles would obviously be stored there overnight inside the bay. And then when they come in the morning, obviously in their personal vehicle to get the commercial vehicle, they wouldn't be able to park their personal vehicle outside of the bay. It would have to be put in the bay and the garage door closed.
Again, through you, Mr. President, to Councilor Peach, to Councilor Gamash's and to Councilor Chekhov's points. You've done a fantastic job on this. I guess the only thing that I just don't understand, if they took away a bay on Monroe Street, which I think is completely appropriate, how did they not add at least a couple of parking spots on that street so that they're off-street parking? Because I agree with you, that area is so narrow and so congested. Off-street parking is an absolute must, and I completely support your motion later on that's going to be sending this to your committee to have no parking on Hardy. But where they took away the bay, how did they not or weren't able to add parking at least on Monroe Street, off-street?
Through the chair, so the bay that was on Monroe Street and the bay that was at the corner of Monroe and Hardy, they were smaller bays, so they took the back bay out. So the one on Monroe basically ran behind 2 other bays, and what they did was they expanded the bays in the front. So the square footage and the footprint of the building is exactly the same as what was approved by Concom and the Planning Board. It's just a redesign of the interior walls and closing off the outdoor bay, in their design, they did send some pictures that are in our packet as well, that side of the building, which is facing residential, would have faux windows to make it look more residential and blend with the neighborhood as well.
I got it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councillor Corvo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Councillor Peach. Again, just going to repeat what my colleagues have said. You've obviously done a lot of work on this, and I really appreciate it. I do have one point of clarification. It says unknown number of employees per shift on the application. Do we have a number? And I'm sorry if you did say it. I was reading through the packet.
No, so the permit is for them to build the contractor bays, and then they have to lease them out. So they don't have all of their tenants in place, which was one of my huge hesitations, is it's kind of like a blanket permit almost. And then the uses with, you need a permit to have the contracting bays, and then some uses for those bays also need to be permitted individually. which is why in the conditions I would add that there'd be no auto repair or detailing, because that is a use that could be allowed in there, but that's obviously not a use that we'd want to see here. The vision is for small businesses to have a place to park their commercial vehicles overnight, and not necessarily be working within the building themselves. So it's an indoor storage, maybe of some materials, like they have the staging company that the applicant's wife owns, and you know, any other materials you might need as a you know, a plumber or an electrician, but primarily storage for a vehicle is, the bays are large, but they're not, like, once there's a vehicle in it, they're not, like, they're not massive. So it's, again, like, in a perfect world, this is a park, or honestly, this is part of the car wash, and it alleviates all of those problems, but this is not a perfect world, so I'm trying to just do the best for the neighborhood that I can. Thank you.
For sure. Like, yeah, definitely a difficult situation. My concern becomes, I mean, so it says in the application that there will be 7 commercial vehicles parked on site. And what'd you say? 6? Maybe I'm. Okay.
So the application originally was for the 7 bays, which was approved by the planning board.
Okay, so
So
one bay, one
it
vehicle,
would
okay.
reduce, and I would like condition that there's only 6 bays, which would lead to 6 commercial vehicles.
Right, so my only concern then becomes, you have to assume that each employee has 1 car and there's only going to be 1 employee, I mean, 1 car. You know what I mean? Like, what if more than 7 employees show up and all of them have cars? Where are they gonna park?
This would not be an appropriate place for that user. It just would, we couldn't accommodate that user that would have office personnel. We're anticipating the people that drive the trucks and go off-site and do their work, whatever it may be, are the same people that would be, there would be 1 passenger vehicle in exchange for the commercial vehicle. So we don't anticipate there would be an extra employee, for instance, who would be in the office all day or be in the garage all day. It's really all intended to be work done away from the site, but a place to park your vehicle rather than your driveway.
Okay, thank you. I'm just really hesitant to support this. That neighborhood gets slammed, frankly. I get complaints about noise there all the time. It's a really difficult place to live already, but thank you for answering my question.
If I could make a comment. It's Mike Becker, one of the applicants.
Yes, Mr. Becker, go right ahead.
I'd just like to clarify that the project is not surrounded on 3 sides by residential. It's surrounded on 2 sides by the car wash, which is 0 lot line, and with the dryers and the staging area for the cars that will be coming into the car wash being between 5 and 8 feet away from the backside of any building. That just would rule out anything other than a commercial or industrial use here. We just couldn't do residential with that being there. Also, with the removal of the 7th bay on Hardy, the 2 bays that did get extended are technically long enough to put 2 vehicles tandem in at this point.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Walton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's definitely good work on putting this all together. I think the ward councils can relate that sometimes you have projects that aren't ideal, but you want to try to make it work because it might not be the best use that you envision, but you want to make it work for the neighbors. I think you've addressed a lot of the concerns that I would have if I was the Ward 3 councilor, but one question I do have, and I don't know if the lot allows for it, but could there be a designated loading, unloading, with potential restrictions for parking? If you have 7 vehicles and you're going to have people pull in, I could just see it being a little bit of a challenge where people double park on the street, they run in, they grab their truck, they move the truck out, they run back in. Have you thought about how to maybe alleviate that?
I can address that. The way the circulation is set up on the site, there's more than enough space for a car between the bays where the people doors align. I don't know if you guys have the councilors have the plan handy, but we set up the bays so that they're kind of Siamese, so that the two people doors are in between the bays. So you could pull in, park in front of the two people doors, back your truck out, park that in the offshoot. There's a space off to the side, kind of near where the dumpster is. Also, incidentally, the dumpster is at the furthest point away from any of the residential and closest to the car wash, the dumpster corral. And there's a driveway there. So if you were to pull your van or truck out, you could park it where the Siamese is and park the, swapping vehicle and that offshoot closest to the car wash without blocking anyone else. And there are several of those spots in between the 6 bays.
Great, thank you. Just one point of clarification, you said back the vehicle out, and I'm pretty sure we're going to make that a restriction that they have to pull out, so. No, I got you there.
When I say back the vehicle out, I mean the people car that'll be parked in the offshoot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right, I definitely understand that. So it sounds like there's a plan for that, and as long as you're comfortable with these conditions, Stephanie, I would defer to you and be supportive. The one last thing that I would mention is, if it's part of the design or if there's room for it, recently we approved a tow company in Ward 1 on Summit Street, and they added a fence to the front, and they put scrim along the fence and blacked it out. That's a very low residential area, but I know that the neighbors were very appreciative of that, so they're not seeing tow trucks back and forth all the time. So just a suggestion, again, I mean, totally defer to you, but if that's something that might be helpful for the residents that live across the street, I think that could be a pretty easy accommodation to make. But otherwise, if you're good with all this, I'm happy to support you, Steph.
We do have a landscape plan, including trees, that are on the Monroe side of the building, so that side of the building actually does have a more residential appearance with the windows, the trees, shrubs, landscape, bark mulch, sidewalk, etc.
Also, the permit to which you speak was a outdoor storage of the vehicles and required that 6-foot fence. Site impervious. That was part of the zoning requirement, and I'm not going to suggest that they weren't being good neighbors in supplying it, but it was required.
Well, they put Christmas lights up on it too, which I thought was a nice touch. So we'll give them a thumbs up on that. But yeah, again, Councilor Peach, I know you've done a lot of work on this, and if you're comfortable with that, that's good for me. But thank you.
Councilor Peach.
Thank you. I just wanted to address the fence. So the downtown design standards and the landscaping for the residential part on Monroe and Hardy, I think will look a lot nicer than a script fence. And then to address the residential on the other side are the condos. It's the back of the Walnut Street condos that are going to face the front of the bays, but the design of the front, it doesn't look like an old industrial shop bay. It's not going to look residential, obviously, because it's not. But the benefit for those condos, I just did want to mention, is this building is going to buffer the sound of the car wash, because right now there is nothing that buffers the sound of the car wash, like the pay machine and the tunnel itself to those condos, which has been complaints that I've received. But so this building, it's only, it's not like a massive 3-story building, but it will provide enough buffer for the height of the car wash to bounce the sound off the back of this building instead of hitting the condos. So one silver lining.
Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Mr. Kelty. I don't have the benefit of the order of conditions from the Conservation Commission, but was there a condition about removal of snow from the property?
Was there a condition what?
For the removal of snow from the property.
From the There was no condition with respect to snow storage, and there was no condition essentially removing it from the site.
Thank you.
Let me see if I have that memo, Jared, so I can answer it properly.
My recollection is that the site plan prepared by our civil engineer has at least 2 spots where snow storage is slated to be. And that was the plan prepared by Hayes Engineering. There's one spot closest to the corner of Marty and Monroe. There's like an island there, a landscape island, and then the other one is the opposite end of Harvey Street, kind of in front of the dumpster corral area, which would allow a plow to just come in and push it all down towards the wall of the car wash.
Thank you. Through the president to Councilor Peach, like I guess some of our colleagues have said, thanks for the work. I know it takes a lot of work to be a counselor, particularly a ward counselor, and I think that you've worked hard at trying to get a good fit for this property, but I hear your reluctance at the same time. I have a lot of concerns about this project. I will be voting against it. I don't know how. I think we've gotten 60 inches of snow this summer, this winter, none of which has melted until today, I think. I don't know how they get 5 feet of snow stored in that neighborhood off that site, and it's clear that it's going to be a priority for the tenants to be able to access these bays. So that snow's going somewhere. I don't know where it's going. How the Conservation Commission didn't require that there be no storage of snow on the site, I don't understand, but I didn't participate in those hearings. The traffic in this neighborhood is extremely difficult. I don't have any sympathy for the applicant. The applicant bought this property 2 years ago. This property's been in the FEMA flood zone for decades, scores. I don't even know how long. They knew that there were problems with the development of this site. There is no shortage of industrial space in this city. We have an industrial park that's a third vacant. There's no exigent circumstances. There's no need that we're filling here by creating storage space for commercial vehicles. There's ample opportunity to do that in non-residential neighborhoods, non-floodplains. I can't I didn't hear any restrictions on flammable materials in this place. I can't put first responders in harm's way in a flood zone if there's an event that they need to respond to. It's just, and Attorney Kelty, you're doing a great job for your client. It's just a project that if I was on Concom, and I was at one point, I would have shot it down there. It's just something that I don't see. There's not a need for storage of commercial vehicles that we need to jump through hoops to address for, first of all, non-residents of the city of Peabody, who are the applicants. We're not even talking about storing Peabody commercial vehicles in this location. If we were, at least there's some, argument. But to put our first responders in harm's way for non-residents commercial vehicles who have the opportunity to store those commercial vehicles in other safer locations, and I tend to agree with Councilor Turco in terms of the fear factor. It's going to be hard pressed to find a suitable use for this property. And I say that not to be arbitrary or capricious. I understand the standard. But because these property owners bought this property knowing its conditions, they know about the environmental history of this property, they know about the zoning, that the federal government has put this in a flood zone. We didn't choose to do that. It just happens to be there. If FEMA elects to at some point, review their map and take this out of a flood zone, it certainly would change my position on this. But I don't see, anyway, I do like to explain when I vote no on certain things, and again, no disrespect to the ward counselor or to anyone that's worked diligently on this project. I understand everyone has a job to do, and I certainly respect that.
Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will be brief. Thank you, Councilor Peach. You did do a great job at putting this together, and your conditions have addressed all of the concerns and then some. So I do have reservations on this, but not enough to deny it. If there are problems, then I think the petitioner knows they're at risk of a show cause hearing and their permit being revoked. If there are complaints and there is not compliance. I will say I'm glad I went after Councilor Hockman, because when I managed commercial property, there is a big need for people to rent space to store their vehicles. Not a lot of traffic. They just can't store them at their houses. So I think I would field calls like daily. So I think there is some demand. I think it could fill up quickly. So I will support this. Thank you, Councilor Peach. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Toff.
Through the chair to Mr. Kelty, I had a question in regards to compliance. There's a lot of conditions that we have listed here, and what will be done by the property owner to ensure the people who are renting this, that compliance will be happening, such as backing up and the noise. There's a lot of conditions, like how will we make sure things are being adhered to? Will they have...
From the standpoint of the developer owner, that can be a portion, all those conditions would be carried in any kind of term sheet for leases, et cetera. So those can all be conveyed and carried out by the owners of the property, who are actually in this instance going to be users of the property. And to the issue of, we believe that this use in this location is going to be at a price point that'll be attractive to the very small businessman, the electrician, the person that's bringing the truck home every night, parked in their driveway. This is an opportunity for them at the right price to be, rather than to be chasing properties up at the industrial park. These are predominantly going to be kind of single vehicle and single owner and operator.
Councilor Gamache.
Yeah, I'm just going to express my opinion for Councilor Peach, because, you know, Councilor Turco brought up the fact that, you know, you don't like to be told what's going to be there and all this stuff. Well, I got a couple of examples. Maddie's Car Wash on Route 114, although it may be 30 years old, the residents stopped, I don't even know if you had it, or it was Dave Ankles might have had it. Okay, but they kept fighting and fighting and fighting. The residents of Mount Pleasant, they didn't want this, they didn't want that, they didn't want this. So finally, the owner said, I own the property, I'll put in what I can put in. And the neighbors to this day regret not being able to have a say in what went there. A car wash was by right. I went through the same thing with the zoning board on Route 1 for 84 elderly units, whatever it was, 70 or whatever, you had that one. And Huntington Woods fought tooth and nail. Oh, they're going to walk on my property, they're going to do this. The devil you know versus the devil you don't, and I told him it's either going to be storage or contractors' garages. And in this location, 25 contractors' garages that aren't the size of his. I'm talking the big ones that can put 5-ton trucks in. 24 hours available. Those beeping, as I brought up to you, the beeping is going to wake those neighbors up at Huntington Woods. And I told them point blank, this is what's going to happen. If you force someone into a corner to put something on their property that they want to try to do with special permit, and then they put in an allowed use, which we have no control, the neighborhood has no control over it, other than setback, zoning issues. So I just want to express my deepest appreciation to what Councilor Peaches does. She took a bad situation and she made it palatable so that she's not going to get something that the neighborhood is going to get tossed down their throats. So it does happen. Doesn't happen often. But I wasn't on the council when King Street came along. But family, you know, elderly housing versus a 40B, and what'd we get? So I'm just going to, leave it at that. As a ward councilor, it's important that you try to do what's best interest of the neighborhood, even though it's not a great use. An allowable use in there might be a lot more detrimental to the neighborhood. So that's where I'm coming from as a ward councilor, and I'll leave it at that. But I will support this.
Any other comments? Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I close the public hearing, I just did want to address, I hear Councilor Hockman's concerns with it being a flood zone. I will say, since the condominiums that were put in front of there, they have like probably the best flood mitigation that's ever existed in the city of Peabody. And this lot has not flooded since those condos have gone up. I know that it's still in a floodplain. If we were talking about residential, I think we'd be having a different conversation, like we did with the adjacent lot, which is also in a flood zone. I don't foresee this putting our public safety officers in any sort of danger. If I did, I wouldn't support it myself. We can have varying opinions on that, but I just did want to state that I don't foresee this being a danger to our public safety officials if they do need to respond to this neighborhood for any given reason. And with that, I will move to close the public hearing.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to move forward with a motion to approve the application from Hardy and Monroe LLC, 22 Hawthorne Boulevard, Salem, Mass. For a special permit to construct and provide office and shop for contractors without outdoor storage in the BC zoning district at 0 Hardy Street, as in accordance with section 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance, with the following conditions. There will be 6 bays as outlined in the submitted plan from December 11th, 2025. No commercial vehicles from this property should utilize Monroe Street. No cars are allowed to be parked outside. All personal vehicles need to be stored inside once commercial vehicles are removed. Auto repair and auto detailing is not allowed by right or by special permit on this property. Commercial vehicles need to be backed in at night to avoid noise nuisance in the morning. Hours of operation are 6:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. The developer will work with DPS to provide an ADA accessible sidewalk. A rollaway dumpster will be secured on site as shown on the plan submitted on December 11, 2025. Per the Conservation Commission, all work must be done DEP file number 55-936 site plan in Peabody, Mass. number 0 Hardy Street, Hayes Engineering, final revision of plan dated October 21st, 2024. If the plan has changed, an amendment to the OOC is required. Downtown design standards as outlined in section 5.2 of the Peabody zoning need to be followed. And I believe that is it. So moved.
You heard the motion. It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Hockman.
No.
Turco.
No.
Welton.
Yes.
Roswignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corvo.
No.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion fails.
Thank you.
Thank you, councilors. It's sort of like getting a parking ticket, isn't it, or a speeding ticket?
Okay, moving on to section 5. We're on to reports of committees. Let's see, tonight, excuse me. That's okay. I'll be reporting on the the first meeting of the Committee of the Whole. Had a meeting tonight, and we had 2 items on the agenda. The first item was we had to convene into executive session to discuss pending litigation regarding the Doe versus Toltz, the Klickstein versus City of Peabody, and Bernard correspondence. That happened. We went in and came out of executive session. Second item on the agenda was we had an open session to discuss and get updates regarding the North Shore Children's Museum. We had a very lively discussion regarding the museum. Many councilors had comments. Very many of them were favorable towards the having that museum in our midst in the downtown and how it can draw traffic to other businesses within the downtown. There were many questions regarding finances, and we were told we will get updates in May, June during the budget season when we'll get more specific numbers regarding things like break-even point and how well they're doing. That concludes my report. And do I receive? No. Okay. I'll receive item 8G, which was the report from the North Shore Children's Museum. Can we have a report from Councilor Peach regarding the Finance Committee?
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met this evening, February 26, 2026. Committee members, Daigle, Gamache, Turco, Councilor Daigle, Gamache, Councilor Turco were present. Councilor Manning Martin was not. Councilor Rossignol sat in for her. All our councilors were present. There was, we had two items on the agenda: transfer of funds for the Capitol Police vehicles. There was a motion made by Councilor Gamache to transfer $41,195 for this from account Police Detail Admin Fee 100-00000-43629 in the amount of $41,195 to the Capitol Police Vehicles Fund, account number 3000000583322 20260000002100 in the amount of $41,195. That motion passed the committee 5-0, and I now bring it to the full council.
Thank you for that. Now we will have a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Hockman.
Yes.
Turco. Sorry. Welton.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. The second item on our agenda this evening was a transfer of funds from the CPC to their plaque and stone restoration account. There was a motion made by Councilor Gamache to transfer $17,200 from the CPC Historic Preservation Fund, account number 270-00000-33022, to the CPC Plaque and Stone Restoration account number 270-1811-58363 58563-2026-000505 in the amount of $17,200. That motion passed the committee 5-0. I now bring it to the full council.
You heard the motion. It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Hockman.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Councilor Peach.
That concludes my report.
All right, moving on to motions, orders, and resolutions. Okay, Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, I move to receive the following items in 9E, and subject to all paperwork being in order: entertainment licenses for Daniela's Suites at 41 Cross Street, Unit 2. Please schedule a public hearing, as well as Mio Restaurant, 4 Bourbon Street, please schedule a public hearing for that as well. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote.
Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 9F, inholder's license, Alto Suites LLC, 41 Cross Street, Unit 2. Please set up a public hearing. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you. No motions, nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, at this time I move under suspension rules to receive item 8B, and that's a letter from Park Place Cooperative concerning a fence that is supposed to have been erected at 274 Newbury Street. I have worked with the park and the tenant and the owner of the property for quite some time. They're getting a little upset about it. I did reach out to Tom McMillan of Plex, and he stated to me that he would get somebody out there to stake the property as soon as the snow is gone, as well as get a date for installation of the fence. So I'd like to just hold this for another 30 days until April 1st so that I can reply back to this and see if all matters are been taken care of and it's amenable to Park Place's president, and if it isn't, we'll bring it up for show cause. So I'd just like to continue this until April 1st with more information to come. Thank you.
All right. You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
At this time, I'd like to, we took 8, under 9B, presentation of petitions, memorials, and remonstratives. 9B, entertainment license renewal for 2026 in the game, 535 Lowell Street. Move approval, all papers being in order.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
Under suspension of rules, item 9C, limousine license, new Sunshine Car Service LLC, 153 Newbury Street. Set up a public hearing. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
No further motions. Thank you.
Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under the suspension of rules, I move to receive item 8D, report from the Community Preservation Committee. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote.
And
Councilor Hockman.
under suspension of rules, I move to receive item 8C. And does that require a public hearing, Madam Clerk? No? Just simply move to receive item 8C. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Welton.
Under suspension of rules, move to receive item 8A, special permit application for 106 Lynn Street and schedule public hearing. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
No further motions this evening, Mr. Chairman. Would just like to give a shout out to everybody who helped with plowing, both the roads and the sidewalks. I know it's a thankless job and we get all of the complaints, but I know how hard everybody works from DPS to all of our plow drivers to get it done. So I guess just a public service announcement to our neighbors, just please be patient and know that everybody's trying as hard as they can to get it out, get everything done. And again, thank you to our DPS folks and all of our plow drivers as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 7C and send to legal affairs. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to go to item 10B. This is a motion that I made last meeting to just approve the ordinance change. So I'd like to make a motion to reconsider last week's motion of 7A. So moved.
You heard the motion. It's a roll call vote.
So this motion is just whether you decide you want to reconsider.
Through the chair to Councilor Rossignol, are you looking to reconsider with the hope that it fails?
Councilor.
No. This is a yes vote, and the reason being, so the reason why, just for clarification, if we want this to pass, it's a motion to reconsider the vote. And the reason why we need to reconsider this is through Attorney Khan and through the city clerk's office, where we had the ordinance on the books before and it was taken away, our hope was just to reinstitute an old ordinance, but per council, we actually have to send it to the planning board and set up a public hearing. So I'm reconsidering my motion that I made last week to move forward with the ordinance so that we can take it back and move it to planning and to the council as a whole to set up a hearing.
Thank you.
It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Bachmann.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corvo.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Council Rozignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive 7A from last meeting and send to the planning board. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Council Rozignol.
Lastly, motion to receive item 7A, ordinance amendment of 11.6 billboards and set up a public hearing. So moved. Sorry? And send to planning. Oh, and community development. And set up a public hearing.
All right. You heard the motion. It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Bachmann.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corvo.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Council Rozignol.
Thank you. No further motions.
Council Ladoff.
Make a motion, well, like under a suspension of the rules, to receive 8F and schedule a public hearing. And then next, under suspension.
One at a time. Are you done with that one?
What's that?
Are you doing one?
I have
8F?
3 of them altogether. Okay, one at a time. My apologies.
That's okay. You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Council Ladoff.
Next, under suspension of the rules, 9A, make a motion to approve subject to all papers being in working order.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Council Ladoff.
And lastly, under suspension of the rules, to make a motion to accept late 1 and make a motion to approve. This is for a special event application from the City of Peabody and Peabody Chamber of Commerce for the Frost Lounge, planned for Saturday, March 7th, which is part of our pop-up pub downtown.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Council Ladoff.
That is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize. Okay, under suspension of the rules, 9D, a motion to receive and set up hearing.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Council Ladoff.
No further motions.
Thank you. Councilor Corvo.
I have no motions tonight.
Thank you. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7A and send to finance.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7B and refer to finance.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7E and refer to finance.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7F and send to finance.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7D. And on 7D, this is a request from the mayor to appear at the Finance Committee on March 12th Based on scheduling, I don't believe that is going to be the date, but I am working with the mayor on a date to receive budget updates to the council, which will likely be an off night, so committee members are prepared. Thank you.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Through you to the clerk, did we receive 8E during the hearing? We did? Okay. All right. I got it, Dave. I got it. Don't worry. Okay. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive and approve item 10A, which is held over appointments from our February 12th meeting. The appointments are as follows. Faye Calhoun, 198 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass. Cemetery Commission for a 2-year term. Christine Gray, 7 Ellsworth Road, Peabody, Mass. Commission on Disability for a 2-year term. Thomas Muxey, 5 Forest Street, Peabody, Mass. Commission on Disability, 12th with for a 2-year term. Katrina Vassallo, 10 Jennifer Lane, Peabody, Mass. For Community Preservation Commission, a 1-year term. Thomas Hosman, 3 Laurel Street. What?
He was done.
Thomas Hosman was done? Oh, sorry. Okay, got it. So we'll skip that one. James Politano, 122 Willow Road, Boxford, Mass. Facilities Director for a 1-year term. Robert Harris, 14 South Shore Avenue, Peabody, Mass. Assistant Facilities Director for a 1-year term. Jeff Budd, 2 Lewis Circle, Peabody, Mass. Historical Commission for a 2-year term. Jacqueline Chiardi, sorry if I butchered your name, 38 Exchange Street, Lynn, Mass. Recreation Manager for a 1-year term. Tom French, 16 George Road, Peabody, Mass. Planning Board for a 2-year term. Paul Ritchie, 22 Bristol Road, Peabody, Mass. Rent Control Board, 2-year term. Peter Bakulas, 278 Newberry Street, number 51, Peabody, Mass. For Rent Control Board, 2-year term. Chris Gilbert, 55 Granite Road, Peabody, Mass. Zoning Board of Appeals, 2-year term. James O'Brien, 24 Cottage Street, Peabody, Mass. Zoning Board of Appeals, 2-year term. Barry Osborne, 3 Callis Circle, Peabody, Mass. Zoning Board of Appeals, 2-year term. So moved.
You heard the motion. It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache. Hockman.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 10C under suspension rules, if we can move to that, I would like to hold this over to our next meeting as unfinished business. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do have one additional motion this evening. I believe I got all of the items on the agenda, right? Okay. I'd like to make a motion. We've had a lot of snow. I think there's more coming, unfortunately. And it's been quite some time since we've had this amount of snow, and we have several new members of the council. So I'd like to make a motion to have the DPS director and anyone that falls under him that works in the snow management, like Kevin Kelly, appear before the Public Services Committee to just brief the council on how the snow operations work, what have the struggles been with these this past storm. I know we've all anecdotally heard what the issues might be, but I think it would be very helpful for the public to understand the constraints that we work on as we try to remove snow. So as the chair sees fit with scheduling, if I'd like to move that discussion to the Public Services Committee. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
On the
Councilor
motion,
Peach.
if I may, I know I'm a little late, but
Councilor Gamache, go.
if we could set that Public Services Committee meeting up as soon as possible, while everybody still has snow on the ground, I think they'd appreciate it. So I can work with you. I can call you tomorrow, Allison, and we'll set it up. Thank you.
Councilor Peach.
No further motions, Mr. President.
Thank you. I don't have any motions or resolutions this evening, but I do want to make a comment about the snow removal and everything that the DPS folks have put up with over the last, few days, few weeks. We've had an incredible amount of snow, as everybody's aware, and we, as councilors, have received numerous phone calls from residents that need help, and I just wanted to, shout out to DPS, Kevin Kelly and Will Politz's entire crew put in an exemplary effort. I personally have had 2 serious situations in Ward 6, and I'm certain other councilors had similar situations in their wards where we had folks that were pretty much trapped in their homes and they needed help, and DPS was already flat out busy. They had no extra equipment, no extra personnel, and they were operating on after about 40 hours straight working through snowstorms, and they were able to come out in within hours, have those dangerous situations corrected. So I just want to give a major shout out to those folks. Councillor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize, but I appreciate you coming back to me. I would actually like to make one other motion, and that is to request the mayor to put a temporary fence around the city-owned property at the corner of Chestnut and Lowell Street. The reason for that is I would rather the city use that as snow mitigation than private businesses where it's a city lot. So my motion would be to request the mayor to put up a temporary fence around the lot at the corner of Chestnut and Lowell Street for snow mitigation. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming back to me. No further motions.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.